Hi, every folks. So, okay, bit of bad news. Apparently, the Rogue more or less became a Knight of Lotus reference for Tactics Ogre Reborn. So, unfortunately, this happy bastard won't be coming back. I will say, personal prediction on this. I would assume the reason they did this, they probably tried to do like a fell seal, stealing your items back and forth mechanic. Probably got a good ways into it, and then just decided, screw it, this is not working out like we thought it would. But either way, one way or another, you know, they also probably didn't need to kind of two plinky sniper classes with one clearly better than the other. Either way, you know, theories can abound on this particular thing, but unfortunately, yes, it is enemy only for TO Reborn. And now back to the actual video. Hello, every folks. Good morning, and welcome to another installment of Know Your Unit. Alright, so today we are talking about another one of my favorites in this game. That would be the Rogue. So, this is a class that it's kind of like the Fencer in terms of, like, early on, it seems incredibly weak, but kind of like as you learn more mechanics about the random background crap in this game, they end up just like gaining exponentially more value as you go on. So okay, so what is their deal? Well, first of all, this is a class that specializes in, well, speed and more speed, and to some degree, they are like an archer that doesn't suck. Now, I know that seems like a weird hot take. They're the archers. They're supposed to be, you know, the greatest class ever in this game. So, let's compare something real quick. Alright, so, what's the archer's role exactly? Well, they move, they shoot. They don't have anything else going for them. Basically, this can be translated as the archers have a good weapon, they don't have a good class. Now, we take a look at the Rogue, like, just for comparison's sake, by the way. Attack 8, Defense 6, Dex is going to be their primary, but we're going to say 128 and 117 on their class stats, right? So, we go over to this dude right here, and we see Attack 10, Defense 4, so they've essentially gone more for attack on this one. Dex 122, Strength 121, so more of a balanced layout of stats, but they've got better numbers across the board. Now, generally speaking, they all end up more or less averaging out, but slightly more average numbers mean that they end up getting slightly more stuff. But the extra penetration is a good little bit of value. I know it doesn't seem like much, but just the fact that they're skewed so heavily towards attack does mean that there's a lot of cases where that little tiny boost is enough to push them over the edge. So okay, let's take a quick little peek here at the kinds of stuff that they can do. So, skill-wise, they have their much-maligned steel, which, you know, it is what it is. I have to say, steel is one of those ones that, it's weird at first because it's an economy skill. It seems like, you know, coming off of something like FFT or whatever else, you might think, okay, it's, you know, how you're supposed to get hidden gear and all this other stuff, and its entire purpose is purely economical. If you have a unit that's specializing in steel, crafting becomes an absolute breeze. Like, on any run that I've had a thief just randomly stealing crap in the background, like, yeah, most of it is pocket lint, but by the time they start just stealing Woots bars off stuff, I mean, it's one of those things that you just kind of train passively. You don't really think about it much. But yeah, if you end up sticking with it, what's funny is you don't even actually have to rank the skill up. At rank 1, it does most of the job that you need it to do. Like, I've seen some pretty high-end crap get stolen off of steel. The only thing that actually matters for rank is when you get to something like the Reaver Ring, which you need rank 5 for. Or you either need rank 3 or rank 5, it doesn't matter, whatever. Anyway, point being, if you've gotten that far, you've gotten that far. Anyway, so yeah, it's one of those skills that I feel is slightly undervalued, but again, it's more of a challenge run kind of thing, because in a lot of cases, like, for example, if you're doing a shopless run, suddenly being able to steal those Mend +1s and Mend +2s off stuff becomes a lot more valuable. Anyway, Sneak Attack basically just allows you to skip, I believe it's 50% of defense when attacking from behind, potentially useful for some builds, but it basically allows them to take advantage of all of the many racial and percentage bonuses that they get off of the many weapons that they can equip. This isn't useful for ranged units at all, but if you want them to be a melee backstabby type of deal, this can do quite a bit. Like, for example, one of the builds that I have here, just kind of to take advantage of this, is running a Dragon Fang, which comes with Draconology, Worm Scale that comes with Draconology. This is a Earth-based dagger with a Venom effect on it, combined with Earth off this, combined with extra daggers off this, combined with Earth off this right here. And this basically creates a situation where immediately they're getting all these extra bonus penetration ranks, plus they've got a chance to Envenom, plus combining with 3 ranks of Draconology, means that functionally speaking, this guy is a Turbo Dragoon with a knife. So it's pretty handy there. What's interesting is that they actually, kind of like some of the other classes, get access to 2 pieces of Dragon Gear, but can't get the full Dragon Slayer effect. But they don't need it. With enough stacked bonuses, they can actually just kind of make that happen. Either way, they can basically serve any role that you need. Like, for example, endgame blow darts are actually fantastic, and they can stack a bunch of bonuses that many other classes can't. Hey, so one little quick thing I wanted to throw out here, just so you know. If you wanted to get early rogue marks, they're actually not a Chapter 3 class. You can actually get them as early as Chapter 2. If you go over to Field of Fallen Shadow over here, there's actually several rogues throughout Fromp Forest, and pretty much anytime that you kill one off, you have a chance to get a rogue mark. And then once you get a rogue, you can actually just go right back in and just repeatedly steal those rogue marks for, as much as you want. So most of these times, these guys will spawn as familiars, but there we go. Rogues, rogues, rogues. So there you go. Managed to get 3 of them in one go. And all you gotta do is you go when you pop them, and they go boom. So, all right, well, in this particular case, it would take a little bit longer, but you get the idea. Go kill those things. They have a pretty decent chance to drop rogue marks. Okay, continuing on. For example, unlike archers, they get access to a lot of the sort of medium and more heavy shields. Also, I just want to point out, because I feel like the inevitable thing will be like, well, it's an endgame thing. You know what? By the way, actually, I just noticed. I'm comparing them with archers. I didn't explain why. They get access to all of the heavy crossbows. So they get access to all of the stuff that archers get, plus a whole bunch of other stuff, minus longbows. And once all's said and done, crossbows are way better than longbows. But anyway, it's one of those things where, like, once you get used to how they work, crossbows are just going to be like the obvious choice every time. Anyway, so at least for vanilla, at least for the vanilla game in my book. Anyway, like for example, if we wanted to even do a below level 10 build with this guy right here, they already have a long-range bowgun with 7 range on it, with a stun effect on it. They can scale down, and they've got like good armor for the time. This would basically be the equivalent of like tank armor at the time. Plus Ring of Vit, plus any plus 8% downscaling off of this bronze helm. All of this stuff is super easy to upgrade with just random crap they've stolen by that point. Skill-wise, they get the ability to permanently put themselves into haste, just because they'll constantly be doing damage with that heavy crossbow. They get crossbows and anatomy by that point. Again, Speedstar is pretty early of a thing there. Augment Fire for making that Brimstone Hail hit real hard, because they're going to be ranking up real quick. I accidentally hit the wrong one on this one. Give them Max TP Plus to make that hit even harder. Spell Ward, which should be able to shrug off most debuffs coming their way, combined with their high evasion, fortify and knockback. So basically they're stunning and knocking back to that crossbow. Point being, just this alone can easily carry you through to the end game. So it's like they start getting options early on, and it just kind of keeps going. So, like, for example, other weird stuff you can do. Did you ever want to make a fist build that's entirely built around luck? Because this guy has, let's see, what is this, like 50 bonus luck, so they're pretty much permanently having a good day. Let's see, can we... Like right here. Stars are in perfect alignment. All you touch will turn to gold. They have perfect luck in all situations. Meaning that, you've basically got a near, well, about as high as you can get a chance to do whatever kind of things you want to do with luck. You want to build a parry or deflect build around this? Sure, you can make that happen. You want to crit on every hit and like sneak attack crit on top of that, so they're basically one-shotting stuff with their fist. So if you ever wondered, by the way, what the deal is with the rogues getting access to claws and the ninjas not, well, because when it comes to a lot of the fist weapons and stuff like that, they've got a lot of good bonuses on them, but many of the times, like, you don't end up getting a lot of said bonuses. Just because a lot of the classes that end up using them are slightly behind when it comes to penetration type of stuff. This is one of those cases where just that really minor 2 attack bonus seems to be what's actually pushing these guys towards doing way more damage with fists than many other classes. So yeah, all these bonuses off like these kind of endgame elemental type of options, where they're getting, you know, 30% bonus versus dragons. Combine that with Draconology stuff from earlier. You know, like, dragon blades are not the hardest thing in the world to get a hold of. Not to mention, because they're running Og Fire and stuff like that. You know, you might as well take advantage of kind of combining your elemental finishers with an elemental breath move. Like, just their synergies work a lot better when it comes to a lot of their effects. Like, when it comes to their use item effects, they've got an absolute ton of them. Because they're going to be having really high movement, I should have mentioned that earlier. So high speed, high movement, and can permanently haste themselves. Something, for example, like a Word of Pain wouldn't exactly be potentially useful on, like, let's say, a Swordmaster if they're getting it off one of their swords, because they're going to be fighting from the front, but these guys can easily be attacking from the back and could potentially pick on squishy units they can't quite reach this way. They get a lot of options when it comes to completely avoiding debuffs as well. So, for example, like this okay, we'll go back to her in just a moment. Where was it? When it comes to builds that can just completely shrug off debuffs, there's one in particular here. I literally just had every single piece of equipment running some kind of proof on there. But as you can see, like, a lot of their stuff just has proofs left, right, and center. Okay, it was this one. So, for example, like right here, there's a guy that is specialized in an Iron Fan build, got Poison Proof, which at the time I kind of forgot that Daedalus gives Poison Proof in vanilla. Anyway. Charm Proof, Stun Proof, like, they're already proofing a bunch of stuff there. We could actually probably switch out the Spiked Shield for something else. I believe he was using it for a Deflect bonus. Silence Proof doesn't really help him very much. Let's say Aspice. Yeah, there we go. Now he's Sleep Proof, so yeah, getting, like, just a ton of immunities on this guy. But we have a build that doesn't even need to particularly specialize in very much. They've got hammers, they've got their anatomy, and they got their deflect. This is purely a just trolling build kind of thing, because they're getting a stun effect off that fan. They're not getting moved anywhere. They're using overpower to get past any kind of parries or whatever else. And as dumb as it sounds, this crappy Iron Fan actually does hold up pretty well, especially with enough stacked bonuses. It can just barely be a viable weapon in the endgame, as strange as that sounds. You get stuff like the Petrodar blowgun. A lot of the blowguns, you may not have realized, have just redonkulous bonuses on them for some reason. Like, for example, the Strength 15 and 6 Vitality off of the Petrodart basically gives you a massive bonus to your Vitality. So, for example, like, this was a sort of low-budget Vitality build here. Worm Scale's going to be pretty common in the endgame. Petrodart's pretty easy to get a hold of. Balder Shield you probably already have plenty of. Spark Guard's pretty easy to get with 5 Vitality on it. Ring of It +1, again, pretty easy to get. This was like the more or less level 20 setup. We could theoretically, like, if you're completely hurting for other stuff, you could always just kind of downgrade to something like chainmail and stuff like that. But then again, they do have other options as well. For example, Balder Gaunts could actually do a job pretty well as far as that goes. You could potentially combine this with some of those spellcasting items from before. Upgraded Balder for a spellcaster, especially with the shield option and stuff like that, can stack their intelligence pretty well for a caster build. You've got weird throne options, like stuff like this here, where they're basically relying off of luck to be able to dodge better, but, you know, thrown weapons, basically 152 attack, so heavy attack values off of a support item with 9 range on it, so that you can basically have an offensive skirmisher support kind of deal there. You got stuff like this one with being able to cast Charm on things, basically going for a Sporogmos as their primary weapon kind of build. So you've got Augment Air. They're not even set up to do counters. They don't even have hammers as their skill. They just use the Caldia to make friends. They use Sidestep. They use Fortify and Spellboard to avoid everything that they need to, while relying on Deflect to keep them relatively safe off of range stuff. Again, Deflect plus Sidestep. Rogues are one of those few cases where you actually may want to combine the, like, you know, save range defense and evasion range defense, because you can kind of stack, like, they've got cool options in terms of, like, stacking different layers of different type of defense very effectively, because they get access to elemental shields, they get access to medium shields, they get access to decent armor, they get access to all accessories. Like, most of the secondary, like, cool stuff is available to them. They kind of miss out on this kind of stuff right here, but that's more offensive orientated. But most of the leg-related stuff is available to them. Many of the helmets are available to them. Which, yeah, it would be nice to get some extras there, but still, for the most part, they're kind of firmly in that medium category. But, like, with this lady right here, her whole thing is just being a tornado. So, by the way, I should mention this earlier. I probably could have put it on this guy. One of the kind of tricks when it comes to a crossbow type of build is pretty much to always try to prioritize putting a jump on somebody. So, for example, if you do have access to jump 2, I mean, they get 4 jump. That's basically going to allow them to jump on top of a freaking house. But basically, any kind of movement skills that allow them to get better angles on their shots. Not to mention, if you're running a light crossbow, you could basically just rely on a TP building build and Brimstone Hail, because it does not check terrain. Some skills do, like, for example, Death Whale and their flashbangs and all that will check for stuff in the way, but Brimstone Hail is always reliable, because it'll always just kind of hit in a... it's more or less a crossbow airstrike. Anyway, you got other options here as well, so you got, like, passive stun off Damask, you know, sleep-proof, charm-proof, slow-proof, stun-proof. This is actually the one I was thinking of, isn't it? Actually, I didn't even finish putting her skills together, but I just thought that this was kind of interesting. But yeah, standard, you know, charming firebolt kind of build. So that works fine there. And yeah, like that's about it. Like, they're fast. They've got great options. They've got potentially great vitality stacking options. As I mentioned, many of their higher end gear pieces give them vitality. And enough vitality stacks, like, if you... multiplayer teams, generally speaking, the rule of thumb that I was following is that once a class reaches about 240 vitality, by that point, they're not getting targeted by stuff for the most part. And yeah, these guys can easily clear that threshold. And as always, you know, you always got the option for cursed weapons and that kind of thing, but that's kind of neither here nor there. You know, you want to have like a light crossbow build entirely built for finishers. You always have stuff like this. Actually, potentially even a war ring might be more useful in this situation, because that's 15 extra bonus to the attack on this crossbow, basically giving it kind of low-end heavy crossbow or longbow, you know, kind of range or penetration there, just off its regular shots. But either way, that's that. I just wanted to say that, yeah. If you've ever heard that this class is weak or whatever else, need to build more creative options, because they are absolutely fantastic. Like, honestly, if it wasn't for the rogue, I'm not even sure if that level 1 run I keep talking about would have even been possible up to this point. Because taking advantage of that very slight attack bonus has made a world of difference there. Not to mention, again, comparing it strictly with the archer. If you're looking at the archer, you're limited to 3 movement, eventually up to 4, and they're very slow. Like, comparatively speaking, their recovery time is 3 higher, which stacks up over time, you know, whatever. But it should be notable that skirmishers get access to way faster weapon options. Can potentially just be, you know, running lighter gear if they want to. They can permanently put Speed Star on themselves, which I actually didn't finish going over all that stuff, did I? Okay, let's do that. Okay, let's go back to these rogues here. Sorry, a little bit of a scatterbrain morning this morning. So, Sparagmos, I probably should have mentioned that earlier, considering I have an entire class built around it. So this is an AoE Wind Tornado, which is potentially very damaging with enough AUG air. But yeah, very cheap attack move, very likely to be spammable, so that's pretty nice. Disarm and Booby Trap are weird, because they're actually... So, interesting thing is that Booby Trap, you can make their damage good. The issue is actually making stuff land on them. So if you didn't know, many of the traps actually have a element affiliated with them. And yeah, they do seem to benefit from, while they don't benefit from elemental stuff, or rather elemental augments, they do seem to benefit from map scaling. So, for example, if you were to have them backed up with a spellcaster, and you had the fire trap, and you had them keep casting fire spells, suddenly those fire traps could potentially be pretty handy for you. It's very oddly specific, and you know, you really wouldn't want to rely on that, but it's an option. Not to mention, sometimes just having an extra debuff can be kind of handy. It's not exactly the greatest thing in the world, but it's still a potential option. Speed Star is one of those things that's very cheap. It does give you a pretty significant RT bonus for triggering it in the first place. But if you're not doing anything better that turn, you might as well just give yourself Quicken for a little while, so that's pretty handy. And then we pretty much covered the rest. Interestingly, they get access to Tactician 1 and 2 right out of the box, so you don't have to transfer to a Knight to get them. And then Treasure Hunt 1 and 2 basically just increases the quality of items that you find on the ground. It increases their slots in the kind of a list, so to speak. So it's just the stuff that you find off the ground. Mostly it'll mean, like, for example, instead of picking up a Mend Leaf, you'll end up like a Mend Seed. So it's not exactly amazing, and it only improves your chances to get better items. But, you know, it exists. It exists. As far as passives, they get Constitution 3, it's good enough. Spell Ward 4, so they can completely avoid spells. Full complement of Sidestep for making them effectively able to dodge ranged attacks. These guys are functionally a counter archer in many, like in multiplayer scenarios. They were easily able to almost completely hard counter archers. Dodge, making them good in melee. True Flight and True Strike at 4 as well, if you are lacking accuracy anywhere. Resistance 4, it's rare to come up, but it's there if you need it. Fortify 4, Strengthen 4, and Knockback only goes up to 3, but that's perfectly fine. They've got a lot of weapons with Knockback on them, so potentially you could stack this up to a Knockback 4 if you wanted to. Counter 3, it's fine. So, like, they get a lot of options. So, anyway, that'll be that. I think they're awesome, but yeah, let me know what you think, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Take care.